My dear girl, you said you wanted us out of your way while you set up house.
I went to bed, slept little, and the next day Valyerka told stories about the lake in which we were fishing.
There are two huge tides each year. The Kultuk and the Barguzin are good for fishermen. And then there is Sama, the wind that tears trees from crags and flings up the water. There are stories about Baikal's only daughter, the beautiful Angara, and how when she ran away with her lover Yenisei. Just a moment. That's better. Hold on. I've got one. Easy. Easy. Got him. Beauty.
And they killed the fish for me, and I went to my bed at the end of my second day on the edges of the lake and Dead Man's Crag.
Barguzin, Sarma, Angara, Yenisei, Baikal, Barguzin, Sarma, Sarma.
Hey, you! Get out of my boat!
Is it yours?
Out! It's not yours!
All right.
Be careful!
Sorry, I'm only getting out.
What did you do with the shell?
What shell?
The one you just hatched out of.
It was a lovely day, and I had no inclination to fight, much less to be beaten. But it was an insult after all.
You wouldn't dare. I will then.
I made his nose bleed. I've no idea how. I think he bled easily. So we rowed out onto the lake in his boat when the bleeding stopped. The shores of the lake were a place of magic. Never-ending expanses of water reflecting the racing clouds overhead, shifting from grey through deep blue to pale jade green, and even in rare moments of stillness, being translucent. That first day on the water, we came closer to the crag with the pine tree and the shape of a rocky castle on its very tip. Suddenly there, the pine tree, there, swaying and jerking in front of the bows of the boat. I could reach out and touch the pine. I had to touch it. I had to. I told you, it was a place of miracles. Each step up the mountain seemed to be the last possible, and yet my foot always found another foothold, my hand always found a ledge. Flattened against the rock, afraid to look down, afraid to look right or left, always up. If I stopped, it would be a humiliation, a betrayal. Absurd, isn't it? I looked down once and...
Look up! Up!
I could see to the horizon. A world of such beauty spread away from me.
I feel drunk. Oh God, I feel drunk.
To experience the beauty of the world means to love. It did to me. I could cry tears of joy and laugh at the sight of the world below and about me, flying across the frontier that separates man from God, a unification of my soul with the soul of the earth. It seemed so natural.
I could fly. I could fly.
I shall remember to the day I die that as I stood on the rocky ledge over the gorge, I did not live an instant of my life, but an instant of eternity. I got away from the edge, and then felt real fear. In a niche between the giant boulders, sitting on a throne of stone, was an old woman.
Oh. Who are you?
Hasn't anyone told you, little foxy's runt?
that climbing up here is forbidden.
I'm sorry.
Sorry? Sorry? Oh, you think you're cunning, do you, you miserable little fool? Why? Why did you want to climb up here? What did you smell, What did you see? Answer me, you shivering little bird, or I'll send you tumbling down the crag head first.
Please. There's a pine tree up there. I didn't want...
You're lying, you cowardly little liar. She slapped her blue-gloved hand against her knee and her face jutted out, hideous, almost to the point of beauty. Lying! No pine trees, nothing here. Trees don't grow up here.
Oh, yes. Please. I've seen... There's a pine tree.
No pine tree.
Why are you angry with me?
Why? Do you know who I am, Cuckoo's Runt? I am Sarma. I am Sarma, the great-granddaughter of the great Sibir, and I am all-powerful. Are there lots of people down there again?
Where?
The place you come from?
I come from Maratui.
Be still! Be quiet, prattler! Now answer me if you value your life. How do you know that name? My son's name?
That's what the village is called. On the shores of Baikal.
On the shores of what?
Down below here. There's a lake called Baikal, and the village on its banks is called
Maritui. Oh, how do the people know the names? Can I have whispered them too often and the wind spread them over the earth? Is that how? Go over there, by that rock, that boulder, there. Go to it.
I'll go away. Let me go away. I won't come ever again.
How old are you, little Everett?
12.
12? Don't your parents feed you? At 12, my son Marit was already a man. The moon would have fallen into the valley before anyone saw him cry, but as for you, now, go where you're told, otherwise your parents will be relieved of the trouble a puny son causes them. Go on! Good. Now, push it aside.
The boulder? But it's huge. I can't. I can't.
Do it!
A cave.
Oh, he has eyes then. Well, go in.
No.
And I leapt away from her. Rocks crashed into the abyss with a noise like thunder, and the earth continued to shift and tremble under my feet. I found myself pressed back near the old woman on her throne as the noise died away.
Help me. Please. Help me, Grandmother.
I've been doing people a favor getting rid of you. A shame your parents must feel a coward like you. Go, stop that! Now do as you're told. You will go down into the cave. Then you will come back and tell me what you have seen. Understand? What else could I do?
Can I go home then? Afterwards?
She was looking into the darkness of the cave, and suddenly she seemed very tired. I'm weary of you. If you don't want to be crushed to death by a stone or turn to stone yourself, do as I tell you. You will understand. I had no choice in the matter. As I walked down into the cave, I realized, as if I had known since we came to this place, that a miracle exists only for a single moment, in defiance of the normal rules. I could claim I had these thoughts as I walked down through the first huge chamber, where I found a table and thick books covered in dust. I could say I had these thoughts as I moved to a flight of stairs leading downwards and into a room hung with weapons of all sorts, daggers and swords and scimitars and lances and crossbows. I could say I understood the nature of a miracle at the moment I went down into the third chamber and found. But if I said I understood as much then, I would of course be lying. It's only subsequent to a miracle that one begins to understand its nature. Seated in a high-backed throne, a very old man with a white beard like sea foam, and white eyebrows over his eyes, and a sad, austere face. And at his left hand, a little girl. I cannot even now describe her beauty. I felt then, I do remember, as if I could have lived to my dying day without needing to do anything other than gaze on her.
Father, look.
He opened his eyes and... oh, God. The feeling of utter desolation they revealed to me for a moment. And pain and... I don't know. Something else besides. How did you come here?
Sama sent me.
Sama. Is she still up there?
Yes.
And you, where do you come from? And why has she sent you?
She told me to come and see, and then to tell her about it. I come from Maratui, by the Lake Baikal.
How do they know the names?
Why are you here?
The little girl closed her eyes and laid her head on her father's hand. He stroked her hair, and when he looked at her, his eyes darkened with grief.
I'm tired, Father.
She is tired. You must go now.
Perhaps, if someone will allow, I can come back tomorrow.
I am so tired.
I climbed out of those ghostly rooms into the blinding daylight.
So, well?
She is so sad. So sad. It's your fault, isn't it?
Did they ask for anything from me?
No.
A little girl?
She asked for nothing.
In the valley of the young moon, even the little girls were brave and didn't snivel like some people. Some people.
Grandmother.
Oh, do I look like a grandmother? Oh, very well. You may call me grandmother. And you want to know why they are there? Is your chicken spirit capable of sheltering the knowledge of the spirit of real men? Won't it burst like a bubble? Is that hare's brain equal to understanding the thoughts of heroes? Great grief and great joy? Knowledge, child, is what summons people to perform great deeds. It's not a pebble you swallow and then rub your stomach afterwards.
Oh, well, if it's a secret, then of course. Forget it.
Now, tell me, do you love your mother and father, little spider with delicate hands? If you didn't, that'd be the last straw with a runt like you.
It's not fair.
Oh, fair, is it? Now listen, and be warned. Rather than tell anyone, down there, what you've seen, you'd better swallow your tongue. Be sure before your tongue had stopped turning in your mouth, your parents would be dead. I am binding your tongue for 25 years. Understood?
I froze with horror. You will understand now why I told you I had kept the secret for 25 years. I could see myself telling the story, and Mother dropping dead, Father after her.
You're beginning to understand now. Give away a secret and you harm somebody else. It has to be paid for. Now do you regret your curiosity?
Please.
Too late to be let off. You want to know why they are there in the crag? I'll tell you. I will tell you. You know who her father is. Baikal, Prince of the Valley of the Young Moon. There was a time when the whole valley was under his rule. And now, there he sits and there he will sit forever.
No!
I say forever. He and his wretched daughter. They killed my younger son. It was so long ago, and for me it was yesterday. You still there? Get out of my sight. Get out of my sight!
I'm going!
Remember your parents!
I ran home and was scolded and had my soup. Mama asked me where I had been and who with, and she didn't know the dangers to her and my father if I answered the truth. I dreamt that night of beginning to tell them, and I saw my mother fall over backward and my father falling towards me, and I woke up screaming.
Easy, Leon. Easy, child. Easy. Now.
Is he all right?
A dream. A bad dream.
Papa! Is he alive, Mama?
And I went to sleep, holding both my parents by the hand. When I woke the next day, the world had changed from bright and blue to a colorless world. I slipped out and ran down to the shore to join the boys. Over Dead Man's Crag, great black clouds blotted out the gorge. I raced down to the beach where the waters were churning and rearing. Valierka and Yurka looked out over the tossing waves into the teeth of the wind. The Barguzin. Wonderful to stand on the edge of the rocks and watch the waves running towards you, and to feel the dangerous giddiness catch at your heart. We would struggle and pull and haul regardless of the wet and the foam and the storm. For 3 hours we toiled like that, and I was soaked to the skin. And I went home to the punishment I knew I would get.
You have not the sense you were born with, Leonid. To get yourself soaked like that and cold to the bone, and what were you thinking of?
I stayed in my bed for days with a temperature and then congestion of the chest. Mother told me I had talked about an old woman when I was delirious, and my heart turned to ice. Had I betrayed my secret? Would they die as a result?
I'm bored, Mama. Please, can I go out? It's warm outside now.
Summer was there still, framed against the light in her blue robes. I was still afraid of her.
Why did you stay away so long? I've almost had time to forget you.
I've been ill.
No doubt fear gave you the hiccups, and you've been made to drink milk. Is that it?
I didn't come to see you.
A visit from you is the last thing I would need. Last time, your yapping gave me a headache for 3 moons. All right, go where you want. But the day will come when you regret even knowing the path that leads here.
They were still as they had been. When I saw the girl, pity once more seared my heart.
Did Sama let you come?
Yes.
Tell her Baikal thanks her for her kindness.
Please, tell us what's happening now in the valley.
What valley?
But you... Where do you live and the others with you? Tell us.
There's a lake. I told you last time. And it's called Lake Baikal.
You pronounced the name incorrectly. Why?
Everyone calls it that. It's on the maps and in books.
So, the people of your tribe have books and maps.
Yes, of course. You tell me why you are here now. And where was your valley?
The little girl looked anxiously at her father.
May I tell him the legend?
She looked lovelier than ever. Her eyes were sparkling with life. I could only guess what she would be like if she were to smile or laugh, if she were taken out into the sunlight, if she were covered with flowers.
Are you ready?
I nodded and sat completely still.
Long, long ago, when the nights of mankind were so dark and the moon was not yet in the sky, a great tribe of good and valiant men lived on the shores of the distant ocean. The men fished in the ocean, hunted animals in the taiga, and carved beautiful things from wood and stone, which they gave as gifts to one another. The people had everything they needed to make them happy. But one day, death came out of the ocean and swooped down on the tribe, sparing neither children nor old people. Even the healers and the sorcerers were dying like the rest, and they had no wisdom against the face of death. Voices fell silent, and people began to die of hunger.
Go on, child. The brothers.
I remember, Father, yes. 4 brothers, the boldest of hunters, visited the elders. They were called Baikola, Bargutsi, Olkana, and Buri. They told the elders of a land they had found when they had been hunting beyond the taiga. The brothers proposed to lead the tribe to that distant land where no man had been.
Death grew anxious and restless. He refused to give up his grip on the people and threw himself after them in the dark taiga and struck them down where he found them. When the people reached the first mountain range, Death finally guessed who was leading the people. He stole into the heart of one of the brothers.
Let me, Father, please. Olkana the next morning roused the people from sleep.
Brothers, death has entered me. This chasm I stand over is deep, and so make use of the time it will take death to climb out, and escape as far as you can.
He threw himself into the chasm. Death would take time to climb out, and the people might escape.
They were followed by the birds of death, and death itself came after them from the chasm. By now, many people fell into gulfs and ravines, or were crushed by landslides, or drowned in whirlpools.
And the next day, Buri stood on an even deeper chasm edge and called the single word, "Go!"
The giant! Tell him about the giant!
Oh, wait, Father, please. After the 4 brothers had died in this way, even Baikola, the eldest, they came to an impassable land, covered in ice and snow, and the people were in despair.
Why have you come to my land? There is no place to live here. There is nothing but stones and ice.
And yet the troubles of these people moved Severe, and he bent down, and with only a slight effort, tore up a ridge shaped like a crescent, spun, and flung it high into the heavens.
Where before there had been an impassable ridge was now a deep valley.
And the people went down into it, and flowers blossomed, and crystal streams burst out of the rocks, and birds sang the song of life, and wild animals began running into the valley. And when night came, shining high in the dark sky was a shining crescent. The icy ridge thrown there by Sabir the giant. Are you laughing at me?
No. It's just that the crescent moon isn't always there. The moon is sometimes round as a ball.
What of it? I'm telling you a legend. And every word of it is the truth. Otherwise it wouldn't be a legend. The legend is the greatest truth of all.
I'm sorry. Please, go on.
And she told me how the people split into 4 tribes, and life was peaceful. No hatred was allowed amongst the tribes.
Why is your father the last then?
May I tell him, Father?
You may.
One day, after many years, a stranger came to the valley with her 2 sons. She was very tall, taller than the tallest men in the valley, and her sons... I'm too tired.
Oh, please.
She is tired.
I left them and found Sarma waiting for me.
Please, tell me the rest.
Why should I?
You know the story. The little girl wanted to. She couldn't. She grew tired.
A vengeful expression flickered on the old woman's face.
Yes, she would. It's always hard to tell of a crime. Look. Look in front of you. What do you see?
The lake.
And deep down at the very bottom of the lake, there rests a marble coffin. And in that coffin lies my beloved younger son, my Marit.
Go on.
The daughter of Prince Baikal, 16 and lovely, had set her heart on Nesye, my eldest son. She wasn't worth his little finger.
I intend to have her to wife. Ask her father for me. Tell her father for me.
So I went to see Prince Baikal, and I announced, "My son wants to marry your daughter."
My daughter is not for your son.
Who are you to refuse me?
Be wise, and leave my hearth, and never come again. Never!
My son didn't listen. Through the mediations of that youngest one, known simply as Ree. She passed messages between the two, and the girl agreed, and my 2 sons rode to the castle. Ree led her sister to the appointed place, and my son took her away.
Yes, go on.
Ah, little runt. My younger son, married, not to be outdone, grabbed the younger girl, the one you see, set her on the saddle and galloped off after his brother. I flew to their aid when I heard that Prince Baikal had driven them up into the mountains. I opened a passage in the mountains for my eldest son. He escaped. But Baikal's men had my young boy trapped on the edge of an abyss too wide to leap. Marit leapt, hurled himself into the empty space. His horse was hit by an arrow from Baikal's bow. My son could still have saved his life. Now listen and know what a man is made of. He set me on a ledge as he fell into the abyss. I tell you now, murder has been done. You have killed the descendants of the giant Sibir, who gave you these valleys in peace. There are savage people coming to destroy you. My sons and I were to help you against them, but you have decided your own fate. And I trampled the ice which covered the summits of the mountains, and the water gushed into the valley and entombed my dead son. And as my life is eternal, it means my grief shall also be. And the punishment for the murderers is that of eternal repentance. Who would dare claim that is not a just punishment?
What has Ree done wrong?
She was the cause of it all. Saving her life cost my son his.
But after all these years, surely you...
Don't dare! Don't ever dare say the word forgive. It's only those who can't avenge themselves who forgive. Forgiveness is the lie told by the weak heart.
My mother forgives me when I've done something wrong.
You know nothing in life. You're a beginner. Who are you to pass judgment? Revenge is a duty. If evil is not punished, it will come to pass for good. If you want to be a man, never ask for forgiveness and never forgive anybody.
That's not fair.
I will fling you off this crag if you argue with me. Go! Go! Get away and never dare show your face here again!
When I came to the village again, Valyerka and several of the boys were watching Yurka. He was holding a forked stake over the neck of a huge adder. The snake was flailing about on the ground.
What are you going to do with it?
Do with it? Going to take it to the ant heap, and the ants will eat it alive.
Why are you tormenting that creature? You should let it go.
I had heard about old Vasina. She was a witch, they said.
Then the bastard will bite someone else.
I won't let it go. It was probably the beast that bit me last year.
Did it do it on purpose? You were picking berries. You reached out your hand and the snake thought you meant it harm.
Are you saying that I don't have the right to pick berries now?
The snake has the right to defend itself. Let it go.
No.
Perhaps it'll never bite anyone again. And if it does, I'll cure the victim very quickly.
Move away. I'm letting it go.
Everyone scattered, and the adder, released, wound its way to the stones, hissed and vanished. The boys moved off. I lagged behind. The old woman's resemblance to Sarma worried me a great deal.
What are you doing now? You're looking for something.
Mushrooms.
Can I help?
Can you tell a real one from a false mushroom?
Didn't know there were false mushrooms.
There are false mushrooms. Same size, same color, same everything. But you take an orange cap boletus. Break it open. See? Yeah. It turns black with anger at being discovered. False.
Is there such a thing as a false person?
You can't tell until he deceives you. Impossible.
Not fair.
Well, let him deceive you, so what? The hurt will stay in him. The person a bad man hurts most is himself.
I thought, if a snake were to bite me, how could it hurt the snake more than me? Fairy tales. In the soft evening light, Father sat drinking tea and listening to music. And Mother sat at her desk and wrote letters, I think, or a journal. I watched her from the door as she sat in a pool of light from the lamp.
Ma, how do people forgive each other?
Forgive? They just forgive each other, that's all.
Just suppose someone's guilty of some wicked act and you forgive them. Does that mean you forget the thing they did wrong?
Maybe, at some point. I'm busy, my dear.
When you forgive someone, what becomes of the guilt?
What questions?
If someone killed me, would you forgive them?
Whoever's thinking of killing you?
No one. But suppose they did. Would you forgive them?
No, I wouldn't.
And if they were miserable and repented for years and years, would you?
You've done something silly today. Is that it?
No, I haven't. I just need to know. You remember when I broke the gramophone? You wouldn't let me go out afterwards.
Mm-hmm.
Then in the evening I asked you to forgive me and you did. Why?
Because you hadn't done it on purpose.
So why did you say I couldn't go out?
Later we bought a radiogram. That was better.
But Mama, we brought the radiogram because the gramophone was broken for the rest of its life. So I'm guilty for the rest of my life, right?
Are you running another temperature?
Why forgive me if nothing was put right?
Because you apologized.
But you kept me in and that was revenge, wasn't it?
Give up, my girl. He's got you.
Bed. You are going to bed, Leon. And you are going to sleep. Now.
And surprisingly, I did. And I was. Instantly. Summer on Baikal is a joy. The joy of warmth baked into the stone, of the cool splash of the waves, the scent of the mountains and the shrubs. Joy works its way into even the darkest gorges, where flowers like raspberry-coloured velvet bloom among the damp shadows. I dived and swam, climbed and raced and ran with the others. But sometimes I would climb alone to the crag and see just how tired Sarma was of me.
Well, what are you hanging around for? You haven't come to see me.
I think Ree enjoyed my visits, though I never remember her eyes lighting up except when she talked of the old life in the valley of the young moon. As she stopped talking, the light went out. I was lashed by pity bordering on despair. I knew then only one thing. I must set her free. Only Sama, fossilized in her throne of rock, refused to listen. I'd given up mentioning it to her. I tried to bring it up with my collar, but he said nothing, and Ree only shook her head whenever I talked of escape.
My daughter has told you the legend. You know the price and the miracle by which our people won the valley. I am not only guilty of the death of Sama's son, I suffer also for all the ills my people had to endure.
What about Ree? What has it to do with her? Why is she here?
She is the measure of my punishment.
One day, I had been with Yenka in his boat, just rocking in the waves. His grandfather was ill, and Yenka was worried.
He is my friend, Leon. He shows me how to track and hunt, and where is the best place for gathering nuts and cherries and wild fruits, and when to go trapping. And I'm afraid for him.
I'm sorry, Yenka.
Once, a long time ago they say, he knew old Rosina very well. Now they never speak. I've never seen them speak to each other. Never.
We sat in the boat much of the day and watched the sun play on the water. We said very little to each other after that, I remember. And soon after I went back to find Sarma, and I took her a bunch of flowers which I had picked on my climb up the crag. She looked very tired, grey even. I stared at her for a long time.
Don't you dare look at me like that.
Suddenly I felt pity for her, and guilty for feeling like that. I dropped my bunch of flowers in her lap.
What are these? Don't you dare pity me, you little runt. Sarma doesn't need your pity. Go on, see the people you brought them for. They need them more than I do.
Thank you, Sarma.
And I ran. I ran into the cave.
Father, there are flowers in the valley. They used to grow around the castle. We used to use them to crown the winners of the tournaments. Oh, look! Cuckoo boats and iris. Black-eyed Susan. Fireflowers and gillyflowers. Forget-me-nots, daisies and lilies and dragon's wort. Oh, thank you. Thank you.
I saw for the first time her smile. It would have been better if I hadn't seen it. I began to feel that Sarma was wearied by her vengeance and grief, though I saw Sarma only as a wicked woman, so I couldn't abandon Ree. Then I realized that in a month less, I would be back at school and have no opportunity to visit.
What's the matter? Tell me.
Nothing.
I left her and her father and emerged from the cave. And the sun didn't dazzle me. I saw it through a veil of tears.
You've forgotten to close the entrance, scatterbrain.
Go and close it yourself if you feel like that about it. Go on. I'm not scared of you anymore. You're an evil old woman. Why torture her as you do? What's she ever done to you?
Oh, you really want this little girl to live and to be free? You want to save her?
Yes!
You would perform an heroic deed to save her?
Yes!
You will do anything to save the daughter of Prince Baikal?
Yes!
I'll give you a chance then. Over there, on that stone, is a snake, long and fat. Now go to it, reach out, and let it bite your hand. And afterwards may your hand swell up like a Boletus toadstool, and may you know the pain and torture of snake poison. Now go! Go!
I walked as though in a dream, and there on the stone was a huge, fat adder, much bigger than Yurka's adder. I turned back to look at Sarma. She meant what she said.
I won't.
Do as I tell you.
No.
Oh, nothing, are you? Rotten. That's what your goodness is worth. The weakest child in the Valley of the Young Moon would have done that to save the daughter of Prince Baikal. Sacrificed their lives if necessary. And you quiver like a pup. Afraid of a mere snake bite. Pathetic. Out of my sight. Get away. Go away.
The snake was staring at me, shooting out its tongue. I reached out my hand to it. And there was no snake, only the curve of a root poking out of the rock, and Sarma laughing and laughing.
Come here. Hasn't your little heart been torn into bits? Are you sagging at the knees, eh? Go home now, and consider that today, for the first time, you have lived a day of true life. That's enough for one day. Go on, off you go. I'll close the entrance myself.
Yinka's grandfather was dying. The doctor from Sujanka was coming on the railwayman's trolley, they said.
Hey, Yanka, is it true?
He's not going to die.
Says you. What about old Vasina?
I don't know. I don't understand. There's some story about her. They say he hurt once, badly.
Poor Yinka, he was so upset. Was this story just another legend? I knew only that an old man who loved my friend was dying, and that the old witch, Vasina, hadn't forgiven him for something.
She hates him.
Yinka was wrong.
Vasina! Look, Vasina's coming. She's here.
It's as if she heard.
She's here.
And she was there. She went through the crowd on the porch and into the house. I ran round to the back and stood on a barrel and watched through the window.
Oh, you've come, Vasina.
Yes. I have come.
I'm dying.
Yes. You are indeed. Do you repent, Grisha?
I do. Oh, yes, I do.
Why didn't you before?
I did. I've always repented. But I knew you wouldn't forgive me. Give me some water. My throat, I can't speak.
The grave. Did you leave it?
I did, Vasina. It has a cross, as one should.
So, how am I to forgive you for such a thing, Grisha? How?
Oh, as you see fit.
She left him soon after, and by that time I was with the others again on the porch. She stopped and beckoned me.
There are some things in life that it profits no one to know. You understand me, Leonia?
May my parents die. Should I tell us all?
No. Even if you tell the whole world.
Three? Oh, gone already.
Where?
Living amongst people. Well, aren't you pleased? Oh, you expected to take her hand and walk her out and marry her. Oh, you little fool. She doesn't know you, cannot know you, cannot even remember. Forgive us, I see fit indeed. No, she has forgotten everything, even her name.
Everything? The legend? Her father?
Of course, even you. Otherwise she could not live. Now listen, she is free. Baikala's little girl is free from her sorrow. You could not have released her from her sorrow, you see, little runt. Understand, sadness and sorrow do not exist without man. Free one person from sorrow and you have to give it to someone else. You understand?
But she'll never see Ray again.
You have taken her sorrow on yourself. The time will come when you will cry out from the burden you have taken on. You'll come running, begging to be free. And I shall free you. And then she will return. Sadness and sorrow are eternal. The girl will return to her father, and you will forget all you knew. That is how it will be.
She will not return. That is how it will be.
Oh, you have a strong spirit for a little chicken. You have no reason for rejoicing about her freedom, as you will soon understand. But know one thing. As long as you live on these shores, nothing bad will happen to you.
August drew to a close. I didn't go to Dead Man's Crag anymore. September arrived and school. The first day of the new school year. Valyerka and I found two places at the back, and it was here that I was stopped, rooted to the spot. I could not believe my eyes.
Come along, Leonid, you're late. Sit down.
Seated at the first desk, in the middle, was Prince Baikal's daughter, Ree, dressed in a brown school tunic with a light blue ribbon in her hair. I rushed to her desk and stood in front of her, smiling. She turned away. She didn't recognize me.
Who is she? That girl. Tell you later. You know her? Not exactly.
Valyerka, Leonid, stop whispering.
So it began, as Sama had warned me. She remembered nothing, and no one.
Svetka, who is she?
We all thought you knew her, fancied her.
Don't be stupid. Who is she?
Rimka? She's a boarder. She lives 80 kilometers from here.
Rimka.
I told her father, of course.
You will protect her?
Yes, of course.
I'm at peace now. Be her friend, and the stars will give you happiness.
I saw her every day, and it was painful. Yet it was like that feeling you have on a swing. If her eyes, by chance, met mine, my heart brimmed over and choked. I began to detest Saturdays. Rimka went home on Saturday. All the time, the worm of pain grew and grew until it turned into a young serpent. I lost interest in my studies. I could not live alongside Baikala's daughter without talking to her. I had my chance. We were on the shore of Baikal, standing together on a rock jutting out over the waves.
Careful. Look, up there. See? The seventh wave, they say, is the biggest one. Watch.
I feel this. Parkusin.
Parkutsi. Ree. Sama.
I held on to her as the wave sucked greedily over the rock, and people cried out and...
I'll take her. Let her go, Leon. Let her.
I let the teacher take her and ran. I ran and ran over the rocks and the shore, and I screamed as I climbed the mountain.
I can't, Sama. I can't take any more. Please. I've had enough.
Didn't I warn you? But you couldn't hold your tongue, could you?
I want to talk to Ree. Remind her. Help her to know. Let me forget everything.
Stop snivelling and come here. I warned you it would not be easy. You took on yourself the sadness and the pain of Baikala's daughter. I didn't have the right to do that to you, and I will make amends. You will go from here, and your life will once again be happy and peaceful.
And what about Ree?
She will go back to her father.
No.
What am I to do with your sadness if I free you from it? Take it on myself? I'm already withering under my own. I told you it comes from people, belongs to people.
Let everything be as before.
What if you harmed her again? Try to remind her.
She won't be hurt again. Please, don't ask me to see Baikal and tell him she was hurt.
No, you don't have to see him. He is wretched enough as it is. Oh, child.
She touched my hair, as old Vasina did before. The next day, Rimka came to see me in the playground.
Thank you, Leon.
There's nothing to thank me for.
You saved me yesterday.
No, I didn't save you. I did nothing.
But... all right. Suit yourself.
She walked away, and I flew like the wind. And I dreamt that night that we stood together overlooking Lake Baikal, and she was indescribably beautiful.
We kissed. I kissed her cheek and she fell from the rock and I woke, whispering,
It's not true. I didn't kiss her. And yet, as I remember this, I have in front of me a photograph of a 12-year-old girl, 5 years younger than my own daughter. And I cannot begin to explain the feeling of sweet sorrow that engulfs me. She stares up at me from my desk in her brown school uniform, her long hair braided, and her eyes. I have lived an interesting life, yes. But if for one moment I thought that my childhood had not taken place, then the color would go from my whole life, and I would feel as if I had lived without seeing the sun. Through the autumn and the winter holiday while Ree was away, I tried to imagine what our relationship would be when she came back to Baritui. And when she came back, it was worse than before. I would sit at her desk and weep. I had no idea why.
I want to die for her, but I can't.
Then my marks came, and I was doing very badly.
I never thought I would feel so ashamed, Leon. It is not good enough.
When they were all asleep, I went out into the sparkling night. A full moon over the valley lit the hills and the crags. And I walked down to the school, where Ree was boarding.
Well, Ree, this is the end. We won't see each other anymore. I know, for you, this is not important. I don't regret having held my hand out to the snake. I don't regret anything. I can help Baikal too. So, goodbye. Farewell.
I think maybe what I said was more beautiful than what I've remembered here. It is difficult after all these years to reproduce the tone. It was sincere. I no longer had any wish to live. I crawled and fought my way through drifts and rocks myself high on Dead Man's Crag.
You've gone quite mad, scrambling about up here through the snow in the middle of the night.
I've come for always. I've had enough of life.
So that's it. That's it. So now you know the full measure of sadness. So what are you going to do about it? You want to forget everything?
No. I want Ree to live. But I don't want to live anymore. I want to go to Baikal and stay with him.
You don't want to live? No, I can't do it. You don't understand what you're saying. If you sit by Baikal, you would forget about your world and all those you love and who love you. Only one feeling. The sadness of non-existence.
I'm not going back.
Can it be so? Is it possible?
Let me go to Baikal.
Go, but I will have to think a while.
My daughter, has something happened?
No. She is alive. I have come to you forever.
Forever?
From now on I shall be here. I don't want to live.
Child, no, you...
Time went by, as if I slept.
Boy, Sama is calling you. Something has happened. You must go to her.
Your father, child, your father is climbing the crag to look for you. It's too dangerous for him. Stop him, he might fall. Hurry, child,
I
hurry!
ran, I jumped, I slipped, I fell, I careered down the mountain, calling...
Father! Father! Father, wait there! I'm coming! Father!
Leonia, my little boy,
Father!
don't ever run away. How are you? Frozen?
I'm so cold.
And he took me in his arms down the hill and home, and tears and kisses. I was unhurt, except that inside every day as I saw Ree, my heart turned. And it was the 14th spring of my life. I remember only the pain of those times.
Mother, Leon, I have been promoted.
We were to move again to another school in Siberia. I wanted to say goodbye to Ree at the end of the term.
I have to go, Leon.
Yes. I will always remember you, Rimka.
She climbed up the step into the carriage, and I never again saw the girl from Dead Man's Crag.
Alorka gave me his 3-bladed penknife, and Svetka gave me a book, and I said goodbye to them.
And goodbye to Lake Baikal. I remembered Ree holding a yellow snowdrop in her hand on the first day of the thaw. And then we too got into the train, and that parting was without real pain. A childhood remains a childhood. My memories of what had happened on the shores of Lake Baikal gradually blurred, and only if I find myself alone on a moonlight night would the crescent of the young moon cause me to return to the sadness of the past. Possibly all my past has been nothing more than a preparation for my return. I feel sure that one day I shall go to Irkutsk, board a train to Sludyanka, and sit on the left-hand side of the carriage. Then, when the break in the mountains unveils the blue water and the brown crags, I shall discover for myself the essence of what is called the meaning of life. A miracle? Oh, yes.
In The Year of Miracle and Grief by Leonid Borodin, dramatized for radio by Nick McCarty, Leonid was played by Steve Hodson, Leon by Tom Lawrence, Sama by Mary Wimbush, Baikal by William Edel, and Ree by Carolyn Backhouse. Father was Brett Usher, Mother Joanna Myers, Basina June Barry, Grandad Norman Jones, and the teacher Phillida Nash. Valyurka was Ross Wilkinson, Yurka Luke Robertson, Shvetka Lydia Robertson, Nyelka Laura Hawkridge, Yenka Edward Jones, and Nessier Neil Roberts. The Year of Miracle and Grief was directed in Bristol by Sean McLaughlin.